Hey, so in this video, we're going to run through adding a contact form to your WordPress website using Contact Form 7. I'll run through all the options and I'll show you how you can add the form to any page that you create. I'll show you how you can decide who gets a copy of the message, and if you stick around till the end, we'll even cover how to ensure that the emails don't end up in people's junk folders, and we'll cover how you can stop spam entries. Hey, I'm Dan Davis. If you're new to the channel or if you're looking for real-life WordPress tips and tricks, make sure you subscribe. I'm on a mission to say as much of what I've learned while working with WordPress for the last 13 years. Also, if you find this video useful, make sure you hit the thumbs up. And if there's any specific video you'd like me to make next, just drop me a comment below and I'll see if I can add it to my schedule. Okay, so what is Contact Form 7 and why am I suggesting to use this one over any other form builder? Contact Form 7 is a free WordPress plugin that allows you to create and manage contact forms on your WordPress website. The reason it's so popular amongst WordPress users is because it's free, it's easy to customize, and it's updated regularly, which means it's always compatible with the latest versions of WordPress. Because of this, it's got a large user base, meaning if you run into any problems, you can easily search online and find any tutorials or frequently asked questions that may help solve any problems that you've got. And some other cool features are it does support reCAPTCHA or Akismet spam filtering, which is something that we'll cover later on in the video. And with over 5 million downloads, it's a good choice to use as your form builder for your website. Okay, so we've set up this dummy website. And if we want to install Contact Form 7, so all we need to do is head over to Plugins, Add New, and then we can search it, Contact Form 7. And as you can see here, it appears 5 million plus active installations. So we just need to install and activate. And now we're ready to use the form. So we can either access it by going to Plugins and Settings, or there's this new entry in your menu here called Contact. So if you click on that, you get taken to this page. Now you can create as many forms as you wish. Obviously, we've got one default form here that's been created for us already, which is Contact Form 1. And straight away, you can see this form has been created. We can take this shortcode, and if we go over to Pages, and we create a new page, and for the purposes of this, we'll call it Contact. And then if we paste the shortcode into the editor, select the form, publish, then we can go to View Page. So as you can see, with just a few clicks, we've now set up a contact form on our website. This form's got a name, email, subject, and a message. And as you can see, if we just fill this in, and we send this message. Thank you for your message. It has been sent. Now this email will get sent to the default email address that you've set as the admin for the website, but we can customize the fields and where that form goes, which we'll look at now. So if we head back to the contact form settings, if we open this in a new tab, we can go to contact again. And obviously we took the shortcode from here, but for now, let's click on the contact form. Now you get taken to this page. Now this is where we can configure this particular form. And as you can see, we've got your name, your email, your subject, your message, and a submit button. Now, we'll cover all these different options in a moment, but just to show you how quick and easy it is to customize a form, if we take this out and click Save and head back to our form, you can see the subject line has now been removed from the message. So if we head back to the settings, so you'll see that each entry is wrapped inside these label tags. So if you wanted to create a new item here, so we can just put label and then your phone number, click enter, and then we can pick from these options here. So we've got a text field, email address field, a URL field, and a tell field. So for this example, we want a tell field, and you can see by default, it'll give it this code. So we can call this whatever we want for convenience. So we could put it tell number. You can literally put in whatever you want, and then it generates this shortcode. So we can click Insert Tag, and then just remember to close this label off. And if we click Save, head back to our form, we've now got your phone number field added to the form. Again, if we head back to the settings page, just for you to be aware, this asterisk that has been added to these two fields, they mean that these fields are mandatory fields. So if we go back to the form and we click Submit, you'll see we get an error on the first two because they're mandatory fields. The phone number, it hasn't got an error because we didn't set it as a mandatory field. But if it was important that we did get their phone number, we just add an asterisk after the first indicator, click save. And then if we refresh this page, submit, you'll see now these 3 fields have all got the asterisks and the warning that these are mandatory fields. So yeah, so that's what the asterisk does. And then yeah, if we just run through quickly what these different options that we've got here are. So we've got a text field. So this is where you can just add any form of free text. We've got an email field, so only an email address, a valid email address will validate. URL, so that's just obviously putting a website address in. Tel is for a phone number. Number is for any generic number. Date field, obviously is the date. And then text area is for like a message. So if you wanted like a larger block, similar to what we've got here for your message, that's a text area. We can use a drop-down menu. So just for example, if we just put one of these in, so we can put our options in here. So we can call this whatever we want. Drop test. And then we can put some options in here. So option 1, option 2, option 3. And as you tab to the next one, you'll see that these get added. So insert tag, save. If we go back to the form and have a look, we've now got a drop down with these options. And you can easily add more just by going option 4, option 5, and then clicking save. As you can see, form has instantly got all those options back in place. And you'll notice on that example, I didn't wrap it in the label, so you can see it doesn't have a title to explain what this is for. So in order to do that, we would just need to add a label. And make sure to close it. Save. As you can see, we now got drop-down test. Some other options that we've got in here are checkboxes. So again, option 1, option 2, option 3, just for you to see. This allows a user to have checkboxes. We can style these all differently, but for now it's just obviously outputting the different options. Some other examples, radio buttons. So these work in very similar ways. Insert tag, save, and if we head back, you can see we've got radio buttons. So same as the checkboxes, but radio buttons. Another important field that is used quite often with contact forms is an acceptance. So for example, acceptance 882 is the default that it's given it. I accept that. Whatever it's going to be, insert tag, update. Normally that would come before the submit, so you could just move that acceptance down here before the submit button. Just tidy it up, save, and then you've got there. Like another really cool feature is with Contact Form 7, you can accept files as well. So here you can limit the file size and you can also limit the file types. But again, if you just insert that tag so we can have a look what it looks like, save. If we just refresh that page, you can see here, look, you can now attach a file. So that basically covers up how you build your forms. Next, we need to look at how to configure the forms. So in order to configure the forms, we need to head over to this Mail tab. So as you can see on the Mail tab, it's now got the email builder. So as you can see here, Mail, and if you scroll down, there's the option for Mail 2, which we'll cover in a moment. But for Mail 1, just so you can run through these options. So by default, when the form is filled in, the email will get sent to the site's admin email address, which is set in settings. But we can override this to go to anything. So, hi. So now when someone fills the form in, instead of going to the default WordPress admin email, it'll go to hi@iamdandavis.com. You can also configure the form to send to multiple email addresses. So for example, this one will go to that address. And if you added a comma, hi@dan.com, this will go to that email address as well. And you can keep adding them just by adding a comma. So let's remove that. The next one is the from field. So this is where the email will say that it's from. So at the moment, it'll use the site title. So whatever you've got here, Contact Form 7 at the moment, is what will appear here. So you can set that to whatever you want. So by default, it will use the site's title, which as for this one is contact form 7, but you can change that to whatever you want. So I could put, now when the email is sent, it'll show that it's from Dan Davis instead of contact form 7. So for the subject field, by default, it'll use the site title and the subject field. Now, we just got to remember that we did actually remove the subject field from our form. As you can see, we do not have that anymore. So it means that it will just return a blank. So we can override that by using one of the other fields. And this page is really cool because it does remind you of what fields you've got, and it highlights the ones that you haven't added to your form yet. So for example, if we wanted to, put our email address in here, we would just put your email, and now the subject of the email would be contact form 7 and then the email address or whatever the person has put on the form. Alternatively, you could just do something a bit more generic and put contact form entry, and then the user will know that they've received a new entry from the contact form. So with the additional headers, there are a few things that you can set here. By default, it's got a custom reply to address. So as you can see here, the form has been sent from WordPress at whatever the domain for your website is. So if you reply to the email, it won't actually go to the person that's filled the form in. It would go to this address, which is no good. What this section allows you to do is dictate what the reply to address is. So if this form fills in, I get it, I can click reply and know that it will get sent to the email address that the person has entered on the form, as opposed to being sent to this email address here. You can also add things like BCC or CC to the forms, which can be useful sometimes, and you can just add in whatever email address into these. And then we get to the form message body. So here, once someone's filled in our form and we receive that information, we need to make sure that we've captured everything that we've put in on the form. And as you can see here, there's some highlighted boxes that we haven't added here. So at the moment, if somebody fills in the form, we're only going to capture their name, their email, the subject that they've entered, which we don't have a field for, and your message body. So we need to fix this. So from we've got and your email we've got, so they're here, so they need to stay the same. Subject, currently we've got no subject field, so we can either remove this totally or we can add something manually. Then we just need to make sure that we're capturing the other entries that we've got, so tell number, and then what we can do is we can just copy that like this, paste it there, so we know when we get the email it'll clearly state what the telephone number is. Then we can get the results of the drop-down test. So we'll put this. We've got the message. Obviously, we need to make sure that we're capturing the file and the acceptance. Now you can move these around as you wish. So now that we've got all our fields added to our form, let's just fill out a quick test form. So let's refresh this. Then whatever, we can pick drop down to my message test. I'm not going to send a file and I accept. So we click submit. Thank you for your message. It has been sent. So if we head over to the inbox, we can see we've now got this contact form entry in here, which shows it's from Dan at the email address. The subject was contact form entry. The telephone number we captured. The drop-down test was option 2. File was empty. Acceptance was consented. Message body was my message test. And there we go. As you can see, by default, this form looks pretty bland. So one thing you can do to make the emails look a bit more impressive is you can use HTML. So if you click use HTML, you can do just things like, add a paragraph. That to look like this. Maybe you want it to be bold. And then you can roll this out to, all of your tags. And if we save this, go back and fill out this form. So we just fill out the ones that are mandatory. Click submit. Now if we go back and look at the form, you can see it's just using a bit of HTML just to make the form a bit more interesting, but you can just play around with it as much as you want. So that'll cover the email that you will receive. Now what we can do is we can also use this mail too. And what this allows us to do is send an email or a different email to the person that's filled out the form. So it's going to be sent to the person whose email address they entered. The from field can be the site title, but again, this could be customized to whatever you want, as we did above. The subject can be customized again. Again, we don't have subject, so it's important, but it might be useful to leave the site title in because they know what site they were on when they filled the form out. And then you could just put something like, just to let them know that we've got their message. If they reply, it'll go to the site admin. But again, if you want that to be customized, you can add any email address in there. And then here, you could build the form up the same way so we can confirm with them what entries they've put in. Or you could just keep it short and sweet and say, you know, thank you for your message. We've received it and we'll be in touch soon. Something along those lines. Just click save. And now whoever fills out the form will also get a confirmation email that their form has been sent. This is quite a useful option. Some other options that you can change with Contact Form 7, if you go to messages, you can see here that we've got different messages that are preset for each scenario. So for example, sender's email was sent successfully. And we can change this to whatever we want. You know, so thank you for your message. It has been sent and we will be in touch in 24 hours, whatever you want that to say. Sender's message failed to send, so there was an error trying to send your message. Validation errors, one or more fields have an error. Please check and try again. So yeah, so you can go through these, edit them if you wish. I'd say it's probably best to leave them because they pretty much do what they should do. But yeah, you can edit these easily. And as with everything else, as soon as you click save, they're saved. Yeah, so if we just show you, if we change this validation error to say, I don't know, we can put anything in there. Click save, head back to the front end, refresh. Hey, you messed up with the form field. So, we can put whatever we want in there, literally, be as creative as you want. Now, if we just take a look at some of the other options available for Contact Form 7. So as you can see here, we've got the ability to add more forms. So we can click add new. This will add a second form. So you might want a different form on a different page. Just run through the same process. You can obviously build out this form as you wish, customize it as we've gone through. Some other options are the integration. So I'm not going to cover these in this video, but at the end of this video, I will link to 2 other videos. One that will cover the reCAPTCHA and Akismet spam filtering, because using Contact Form 7 out of the box without putting some sort of spam protection in place, you'll quickly fill your inbox with spam. So I will link to those videos at the end. If you watch those, they'll explain how we can prevent spam. Another thing which I'll link to at the end is going to be how to send emails correctly from a WordPress website, because by default, WordPress will use PHP mailer, which isn't always reliable and will get filtered as spam by a lot of email providers. So yeah, watch both those videos because they'll just help make Contact Form 7 experience a better one. Yeah, so I think the only thing that left that you might want to be able to do to your contact form is to style it to maybe look on brand or, in style with your website. So yeah, so I'm not going to cover, in great detail how to style contact forms at the moment, but obviously if that's something that you do want, leave a comment below and maybe I'll make a video on how to do that in greater detail. But for now, I think as long as you've got the ability to right click on the form and inspect, you'll then be able to see how each form is given its own class or ID. And as you can see here, they all start with WPCF7 and this form's ID is here. So in your style sheet, as long as you tag that, and obviously you can run through the style sheet, being able to style the label, being able to style the paragraph tags and the input. So yes, I hope that helps. So as mentioned at the top of the video, there is a large community and there is some good resources out there to help with any other additional features that you may want. I've opened up a tab here for Contact Form 7's own website, which is contactform7.com. And then the FAQ here does have a vast amount of questions and answers that may help you if you run into any issues. Their documentation is fantastic. I would thoroughly recommend, if you're going to use this plugin in more detail, that you use this, because most of the answers will be here for you. And I'll link the site in the description below so you can go around, have a little nose around, and hopefully get some advanced learning. So that's it. So hopefully you found the video useful. Make sure you watch the 2 videos that will appear on the end screen, because they'll help with email deliverability, making sure the emails land in your inbox or the user's inbox. And also there's one for preventing spam entries from bots. So that they're both really important to work with Contact Form 7. So I hope you found this video useful. If you did, make sure you hit the thumbs up. If you're looking for more WordPress tips and tricks, make sure you subscribe. And if you've got any questions, just drop them in the comments below and I'll make sure that I'll answer every single one. Thanks very much. See you on the next one.